I'm David Bishop, Project Director of Build UK. And firstly, I just want to thank the school today for inviting me to talk about the Common Assessment Standard. So for the next 15-20 minutes, I'm just going to talk about the Common Assessment Standard, what it is, how it works, and how it can sort of help you save time, money, and cost. However, before I sort of delve into the details of that, because it is going to be a quite detailed presentation, I thought it would be useful to explain who Build UK are and what we do. So for those of you who don't know who Build UK are, we were formed back in 2015, and we're a trade association that brings the industry together around one table in order to speak with one voice. So we represent about 40% of the sector, including major contractors, clients, and the specialist supply chain. And really where we think our forte is collaboration, basically bringing the supply chain together in order to do solutions which benefit the entire industry. And our work is based around four strategic priorities. So, which are improving business performance, navigating the building safety regime, demonstrating organizational capability, and recruiting, training, retaining the next generation. And really where we like to think we set ourselves apart is we deliver practical solutions that make a real difference on the ground, such as the Common Assessment Standard. So really, where did the Common Assessment Standard come from and what is it trying to do? Well, I'm sure you're all familiar with the problem when it comes to pre-qualification. There are definitely a multitude of questionnaires and standards out there, which contain different questions, different standards, and require different evidence. And it does cost companies probably hundreds, if not thousands of pounds every year in order to meet all these different requirements. And sometimes they often ask the same question in a slightly different way. So where the Common Assessment Standard come from is an industry-wide solution that we began rolling out 4 years ago, which aims to resolve this. The aim of the project is quite simple, is we're aiming for suppliers such as yourselves to be audited just once a year, and for this to be accepted by all main contractors and clients without them specifying a particular assessment body or standard. So rather than saying, oh, you need to get this particular product from this particular supplier, they'll go, look, you just need to get the Common Assessment Standard, which you can get from anyone. So that's our end goal and what we're working towards. So the first step we did towards this was by publishing an industry-agreed question set and corresponding assessment standards. Funnily enough, the Common Assessment Standard, it is quite literally named, and it was based around question sets and standards which were already being used across the industry. Currently, certification to the Common Assessment Standard is available from 7 recognised assessment bodies, and the next slide will have all their details and their aligned products. I'm just going to the next slide. As you can see, the 7 bodies are Achilles, Compliance Chain, Construction Line, CQMS, SCCS, SMAS, and Veriforce CHAS. So if you have one of these products, then you already have the Common Assessment Standard. As you can see on the left-hand side, there says desktop and site-based. There are 2 levels of certification to the Common Assessment Standard, either desktop or site-based, and you will choose which is the most appropriate for your business. The majority of companies out there only have the Common Assessment Standard to a desktop standard, but a few trades do prefer site-based ones, especially those which are more higher risk. For those of you who don't know the difference, and I presume most of you would, but if not, a desktop audit will involve the assessment body verifying your information against the standard remotely, whilst for a site-based audit, funnily enough, involves auditor coming to your site to carry out the audit. That is just the difference between the two. How the Common Assessment Standard works fundamentally is you as an organisation can choose any of the 7 recognised bodies to complete the relevant standard with, and the question set will be exactly the same, as well as the assessment standard. So regardless if you go for Achilles, Construction Line, CQMS, etc., you'll be answering the same questions to the same standard. It is the same product, just with a different name. When you go to them, the assessment body will then audit you against the standard, and if you are successful, you will then receive your certificate. Your certificate will be valid for 1 year from the date of issue, provided that any time-critical documents, such as your insurances, are updated when they expire. Currently, there's over 21,000 suppliers certified to the Common Assessment Standard by one of these 7 organisations. And if you already have one of the following accreditations on the screen, then as I said, you've already got the Common Assessment Standard. If you do, then the next section I'm going to go on to will really help you maximize the value of having the Common Assessment Standard. And for those of you who don't have the Common Assessment Standard, after that, I'll then explain to you how it works and how to get the Common Assessment Standard. So, firstly, over the last 4 years, we've been working with clients and contractors across the industry to adopt the Common Assessment Standard. And on this page shows you all the companies, well, a snapshot of some of the companies that already specify the Common Assessment Standard. So if you've already got it from any of the recognised assessment bodies, they do not specify that you have to go to a particular one. They will accept it. So regardless of whether you've got it from Construction Line, Chas, etc., they will accept it. So again, this will save you time and money. Furthermore, thanks to Public Procurement Note 0324 and the Procurement Specific Questionnaire, the Common Assessment Standard is also being specified for use by the public sector. So for you, those of you who also work for councils, local authorities and other government bodies, you will probably find now, or you've come across it, that they'll say, look, we also accept the Common Assessment Standard. So if you've got the Common Assessment Standard already, not only do these organisations accept it, the public sector do as well. So again, if you've got it once, you can really start showing it and using it with the other providers. Now, all this has been done possible through a data sharing solution. I'm just going to have a drink before I go to the next bit. So in the past, what has traditionally happened is a lot of contractors have specified a particular assessment body because they relied on that assessment body to provide them with the data that they collect from their supply chains during the audit process. So when you as a supplier would go to one of these recognised assessment bodies, they would assess your data, verify it, and then they'll send that verified data on towards the buyers and the clients. Access to this data is key, and this involves the recognised assessment body sharing your data with each other so that contractors and clients can obtain the data they need from their suppliers from any recognised assessment body, not just those they currently have a relationship with. So, for example, if you're assessed by Achilles, you can get your data shared into Construction Line's portal, to STS's portal, SPAS's portal, with everyone's portal for absolutely free. All you need to do to get your data shared widely is just to sign a permissions form and agree for your data to be shared. That's it. And as soon as you've done so, your data is shared from one recognised assessment body to another. I've put all the links on the screen, and this presentation will be shared after the meeting. And this is something I really recommend you do after this meeting. You've already got the Common Assessment Standard. You just fill in all these forms, and your data will be freely shared across all the recognised assessment bodies, and it will really help to get your company's profile in front of other potential companies you may wish to work for in the future. And as I said, this is done completely free. So as soon as you're certified, please share your data, and you can just do it for a click of a button, and you only need to answer 3 questions, which is your company name, your company number, and who you've got the accreditation from. That's all you need to do. And the more companies we can get sharing data, as well as the more buyers and clients actually looking at this as data, the more we can get reduced duplication across the industry. So the next bit, for those of you who don't have the Common Assessment Standard, well, how do you complete it? Well, the first thing is I'm just going to flag is there is currently 10 sections of the Common Assessment Standard, and we've designed it for construction companies for stage 1 procurement, so business insurance. I know it looks like there is a lot of sections, but for those of you who are smaller businesses or don't do certain activities, you will face a much greatly reduced question set. Firstly, as you can probably see, it covers all the relevant areas of pre-qualification, so identity, financial, corporate and professional standing, health and safety, etc. The first thing I'm going to mention is the majority of questions are mandatory, and failure to complete them will mean you do not pass the audit. However, these questions are often legal requirements, such as health and safety, financial insurance details, etc. And not having them in place means your company is currently breaking the law. So a lot of these questions are along the lines of, can you prove that you currently meet UK legislation or English and Welsh legislation? So as I said, it looks like a lot of sections, but they are very much based around the law, such as having their insurances in place, proving you can meet health and safety. There are also a number of advisory questions within the document, which means a company can still achieve the Common Assessment Standard without completing these, However, they just signpost you to where industry thinks it's good practice to have these in place. You won't be penalised if you don't have them, but as I said, it's just showing you what the industry considers good practice to be, such as questions around cybersecurity and corporate social responsibility. The first thing is I just want to highlight is the question set is proportionate and the assessment standards for certain questions has been revised for smaller and micro businesses. So if you're a micro business, then you only need to provide a statement rather than full policy for certain questions, and you're exempt from answering some other questions altogether. Same for smaller companies. So if you're a smaller company, some questions you don't have to answer, and for other companies, you can just answer them providing a standard or a statement rather than a full policy. Secondly, in order to reduce duplication, you're also exempted from answering certain questions or entire sections if you already hold other third-party certificates, such as SSIP or other ISO standards. So if you already hold SSIP, you're pretty much exempted from answering the entirety of the health and safety section. So you just need to provide a copy of the valid certificate, and you've basically demonstrated you comply with that section. Same if you've already got ISO 9001, which is quality management, you got that, you're exempted from the quality management section. So we really are trying to streamline this process as much as possible and reduce duplication. Also, depending on whether you employ subcontractors, whether you use information management such as BIM, or whether you work on higher risk buildings and the Building Safety Act, again, depending what your company do is some questions and sections you just don't have to answer depending on what trades you carry out and how big your organization is. And also to help you complete the Common Assessment Standard, the full question set is freely available on our website. So within it, we highlight all the mandatory and advisory questions, as well as the exemptions, and also what documents you need to complete the Common Assessment Standard. So the question set not only tells you what the question is, it also links to guidance. So if you don't have certain policies, it shows you how to get template policies, also provides examples what evidence you need to provide to complete the question. And furthermore we also link very heavily to the school's massive suite of training and skills. So for example, under corporate social responsibility, we link to all the schools training when it comes to modern slavery, when it comes to supply chain management, when it comes to fairness, inclusion and respect. So again, we really are trying to help out as much as possible to get companies to meet the standard, the Common Assessment Standard. And again, if you don't currently meet the requirements, we will signpost you to help in order to help you pass. And then finally, the Common Assessment Standard is not a static document. We do update it every year to make sure that it remains up to date and continue to meet the needs of the industry. The most recent version was published at the start of the year, version 4.1, to make sure it fully aligns with Procurement Act 2023, which is now in force. And we're actually going to be publishing version 5 next week. Version 5 will basically, the building safety section will become mandatory, and it also includes new questions on fairness, inclusion, respect, as well as sustainability. And again, we've been working with the school to help us, especially in the sustainability section. So what next? I'm aware this is very much a whistle-stop tour of the Common Assessment Standard. If you go on our website, there is further information available about it, as well as an FAQ document and a few other bits of information. However, before I finish this presentation, there is a couple of bits I think you can all do now before I can take any questions. The first thing to do is, and I very much recommend is to check to see if you've already got the Common Assessment Standard. Already 21,000 suppliers have it, but since a lot of the recognised assessment bodies use their product names rather than name Common Assessment Standard, you may not be aware that you already have it. So if you don't have it, then you can go to our website and look at the full question set as I mentioned, and the list of clients and contractors already using it, and make a decision about whether or not you want to be certified against it. Obviously, since I helped to create it, and it does reduce duplication, I'm very biased, but I do think that people should have it. If you already do have it, and my next question to you is, first of all, is do you have it multiple times? Since quite a lot of contractors and clients are now specifying it, I will recommend that you do an audit of all the different accreditations you hold to see which ones you do currently hold and whether you need them all. Because if you only work for companies on the list on our website, then you don't need the Common Assessment Standard multiple times. You only need it the once. Also, if you've got the Common Assessment Standard, then really do share your data, because it does mean that it increases your company visibility to companies you may not normally work for, and it really helps to put your name out there. And as I said before, it's completely free and a very easy process to do so. And then finally, and we're always happy to help with this, is if you have the Common Assessment Standard and you're working with a client contractor that doesn't know about it, then tell us at Build UK, and after the meeting, my details will be shared. So we can talk to them about the benefits of the Common Assessment Standard. We're continuously engaging with new clients and contractors all the time to raise awareness of it and promote the Common Assessment Standard. It is a very large industry, and it does take time for this to get out there. But considering like just over 3 years ago, no one had the Common Assessment Standard and no one was specifying it, to now we are making rapid strides with it. And so, as I said, we're always looking for new opportunities to really get it out there for more companies to adopt it. And the more people that do adopt it, the better it is for everyone in the supply chain. Well, that's it really for the presentation. I didn't want to bore everyone to death with so much detail. And now I'm happy to take questions. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So, all right, if you've got any questions, feel free to put your hand up or just pop it in the chat. And whilst you're all thinking about anything to ask, I'm just going to take another drink. Wow, it looks like I all stunned you into silence. I like to think that's because I gave an excellent presentation. I was about to say, if none of you can think of anything right now, is all our contact details will be shared after the meeting. And I always know that when I've gone to presentations, people do occasionally always go like 10 minutes after going, oh, I wish I asked that. So always feel free to follow us up after the meeting if you so desired. Oh, that right. I've got a question from Anthony. Generally, what is the cost for attaining the standard? Well, I have to be honest, Anthony, as Build UK, we do not sort of set the price. It is done by the recognised assessment bodies, and they often set their fees depending on either the size of your organisation or depending what trade you do, or it could be a set fee. So this is a bit like a piece of string question. I don't know how big your organisation is, but I do know prices range from about 300 up to quite a few thousand if you're a multi-billion pound company. So as I said, I have seen the cheapest about £300-400 mark, and I've seen the most expensive being a few thousand. But really, you're just going to have to go to each individual recognised assessment body and have a look at their pricing structure. And then also, I said it might depend on the size of your business, or maybe what trade you do, or how many employees you have. They all operate their own pricing models. Due to the Competition Act, is we can't dictate to them what they do when it comes to pricing, so we let them determine prices. But hopefully that helps. Depending, as I said, depending on how big your small is, will determine how big the price is. Cool. And how long does it take to obtain? Again, it really determines which recognised assessment body it goes to. So, for example, Compliance Chain have put on their website that, assuming you've got all your documentation correct, it could take you 2 days to do. A few other people could take around a week or 2 weeks. They have their own sort of service level agreement. And again, it also depends on if you've got the right documentation in place or not to begin with. So when you first apply, is obviously in order to look at all your stuff and then feedback to you which questions you succeed and which haven't you've done. So again, it could take 2 days, it could take 2 weeks. It's a combination of having the right documentation in place when you apply, and also which recognised assessment body you go with and how fast they want to do it. As I sort of mentioned before, to help you do it, if you don't have it already, do go on our website and download the question set, because that will give you that will basically tell you all the questions you could possibly answer, as well as all the evidence that a recognised assessment body would be looking for, and also how to create the evidence if you don't have it in place already, such as either a statement or a policy, or, for example, a training matrix. But again, depends on like your business and what you already have in place. Cool. Right. I don't see any other questions in the chat, so I'll leave it 30 seconds. But as I sort of said, my contact information will be shared after the meeting. Go on our website. You can see a lot more information about it. And if you have any particular questions, always just drop us a line at Build UK. This is what we do often the Common Assessment Standard, and my colleague Adam and I we're always very happy to respond to any query. So as I said, anything you can't think of right now, but do think of 10 minutes time, just let me know. Oh, it looks like Patrick's going to do something. Product Information Standard. UKCA. Yes, we do have questions around product information standards and UKCA marking within it. So depending on how your company operates. So if you're a company which does produce your own products, as well as installing them, so such as you're a steel manufacturer and installer, there is a particular question about making sure you've got the right processes and procedures in place in order to manufacture your own products and then actually install them. If you are just an installer of products, so if you're just a normal contractor who installs other people's products, we do have a few questions around. We do have a few questions about ensuring that you, as an organisation, has a process in place to use only CE mark products or UKCA mark products, depending on that one, because I know there is a bit more done about that. So that's at the top level. Whilst a few of you are catching up, I'm just going to dig out that particular question in the Common Assessment Standard. So to answer your question, David, are you interfacing with railway industry? That is on our list of things to do. We originally started with Build UK contractor members, who the majority of them work in sort of like the commercial stage and that sort of side of it, just because that was a low hanging fruit, really, because quite a lot of our members wanted us to create the standard, and we started off doing that. We do have on our list to talk with the railway industry about the Common Assessment Standard, because I'm aware there is sort of link up and risks in that space already, and they have their own particular accreditation standard, but that is on a future plan. So I can't really give much more update apart from it's on our list, but it is on our list. So to answer your question, Patrick, will we need to recertificate products to UKCA? I don't know about that. The Common Assessment Standard accepts UKCA or CE marking because that's what the law of the land is. If you're asking another question about product as UKCA, I don't know. Really, as I said, the Common Assessment Standard just asks you to make sure that your product meets UKCA or CA marking, or what the law is. So, and I know that construction products, depending on what product it is, has slightly different requirements. So that's the best I can do. But I'm happy to take this question offline, depending on what it is. It just looks like Anthony is typing another question. Oh, great. Thank you, Anthony. Well, I can't see that anyone else has finished typing. Sorry, everyone seems to have finished typing. To go back to your question, Patrick, if you go to our website, we do have question 128, which is all about UKCA marking. So I think that might answer your question. Have a look at it. But if it doesn't, I say just send us a follow-up email, and then I can happily take that away. Great. Well, I think that's everything. So, as I said, my presentation will be shared after this meeting, as well as my contact details. So, I'm happy to do that after. And I hope everyone enjoyed it.